Welcome into the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com alongside the Trentonians George O'Gorman, Mike Samsel with you. Pleasure to be with you. George, at least another extra day of rest this weekend, if you will, with most of the football action being played on Thursday. And, well, to be perfectly honest, not very many good games out there this past weekend either.
No, there weren't very many good games, and but that's a shame because, as we see, we've got a couple of teams that are still undefeated, obviously. Allentown, Hopewell Valley, that's no surprise.
Right.
The big surprise, obviously, is Princeton. Princeton undefeated, having knocked off Lawrence in what was a battle of unbeatens. And outstanding. Charlie Gallagher's team is really moving on, and they've got Steiner this week with a chance to go 5-0.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame struggled again against Hopewell Valley, and Trenton, they're an up and down team, but they're a young team. Allentown blew out Steiner. A couple of teams that came close to getting a win. Hamilton went down to Burlington County and lost late to Cinnaminson, and Robbinsville lost late at Hightstown.
Yeah.
And West Windsor South remains winless. So it's one of those years, and we're hitting the halfway point in the season right now. We're going into week 5. And some good games this weekend.
Yeah.
Battle of Burlington County against Mercer County, if you want to put it that way. You've got Lenape, which may be the best team in Burlington County in the WJFL, coming up to play. Lenape's coming up to play on, let me see, they're playing...
Lenape will be Friday night at Allentown.
That's right. Battle of Unbeatens. Lenape at Allentown. I forgot that one. The other one is Saturday afternoon because of SAT exams. It'll be a late start. I think it's 2 o'clock. It'll be Rancocas Valley making its third trip in 5 weeks up here to Mercer County. And they'll be playing Nottingham. Yep. So that should be quite a matchup, too.
Yeah, and that's a game we just added here on the WBCB Sports Network, so you'll be able to watch that starting, we believe it's 2 o'clock kickoff. So either way, it'll be 15 minutes before kickoff with the Trentonian pregame show. Me and George will be out at Nottingham High School for that one, and it should be a great one. When we come back here on the Mercer County Football Show, we will go over the results from last week, and we'll start to preview the games this upcoming week. It should be a great week of football here in Mercer County. And you're watching the Mercer County Football Show presented by the St. Francis Medical Center, your heart hospital in the city of Trenton.
Discover the dealer for the people, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Route 33 in Hamilton Township. One of the region's finest state-of-the-art service facilities for all makes and models. A service facility so good, local school districts get their buses serviced at Haldeman. Police fleets, local municipalities get their cars and trucks serviced at Haldeman. From oil changes to tire sales, Haldeman Ford services all makes and models. And they offer tires for just $10 over cost on name brand tires like Goodyear and Pirelli. And their waiting room offers complimentary food. And there's a special Wi-Fi room available for your use. So no matter where you purchase your car, get it serviced at Haldeman Ford, the dealership for the people on Route 33 in Hamilton Township. I'm Merrill Reese to tell you about our good friends at the Revere Ristorante Italiano in nearby Ewing Township at 802 River Road. I can tell you that from South Philadelphia to New York's Mulberry Street, there's no better Italian cuisine than that served at the Revere. Start your meal with one of their great appetizers or salads. Entrees include outstanding veal dishes, fresh seafood daily, excellent steaks and chops, homemade pasta dishes, daily specials, and much more. You can also enjoy their bar area, where on most weekends, entertainment is offered. The Revere also does off-premise catering, and you can accommodate private parties for any affair, including business functions. Call the Revere Ristorante Italiano for more information and reservations at 609-882-6365. 882-6365. The Revere Ristorante Italiano open Monday through Friday for lunch and 7 days for dinner at 802 River Road, right off the Wilbertha Road exit on Route 29. In nearby Ewing Township.
Welcome back to the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com. That's George. I'm Mike. Pleasure to have you with us. Presented by the St. Francis Medical Center, your heart hospital in the city of Trenton. George, we'll take a look at some of the results last week. 31-0 Ewing won over Delran, 27-24 Heightstown in the win column. Haven't talked much about the Rams this year, but that's a team that's currently sitting at 2-2 right now and in playoff contention.
They are in playoff contention, and new coach, and they pulled out a late one over Robbinsville, which is struggling.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good win for Heightstown. People were starting to wonder how Heightstown was going to be because they had struggled last year, but they're doing an excellent job.
Yeah, starting to turn it around a little bit are the Rams. 40-19, Rancocas Valley was victorious over Northern Burlington. Also, 32-12 was the win for Trenton over West Windsor Plainsboro North. You mentioned sometimes the Tornadoes can be up and they can be down. Well, against a pretty darn good West Windsor Plainsboro North team, they were up.
Is it Andrew Holt ran for 3 touchdowns?
Yeah.
And he really did an outstanding job. They've got some good young backs.
Mm-hmm.
With Andrew Holt and
Tommy Neal
and Samaj Willis.
Mm-hmm.
They got some kids that can move the ball, and their opening game, it was impressive when they opened the season hosting Rancocas Valley and drove right down the field in an 80-yard drive to score. But then Rancocas Valley came back and really put it together and just kind of blew out Trenton without much problem. And Rancocas Valley is a team that hasn't played a home game yet.
Yeah.
Put new turf down, and then they found out that the stone underneath it was inferior, so they had to take the turf up and redo the field. They're back in Mercer County now for the 3rd time in 5 weeks when Rancocas Valley plays on Saturday at Nottingham. It should be quite a game.
Hugely difficult game for Notre Dame. They were pretty well handled by Hopewell Valley. 26-0 was the final in that game. And for the Notre Dame Irish, as much as the scores don't show it, their defense is playing very well. We had Alex Roman for over 20 tackles on Thursday. It's just that the offense is providing that team no help whatsoever.
I was surprised because the week before when they played Rancocas Valley, Alex Roman ran for a couple of touchdowns and he had over 100 yards. He didn't carry the ball once.
No.
I was surprised that, against Hopewell, that they really didn't run Roman at all.
Another surprising, well, not so surprising, but another difficult final for Mercer County. 35-0 Burlington Township handled West Windsor Plainsboro South. Skip Edwards and his team struggling, sitting at 0-5 on the season. Princeton 40, Lawrence 20. The Little Tigers moved to 5-0 on the season, George, and we were looking forward at their schedule. I mean, that could possibly be an 8-9 win team this year if everything goes well and they stay healthy.
It'll get tough when we get into the latter part of October and into November.
Mm-hmm.
But Charlie Gallagher's Little Tigers, I mean, they're getting an excellent job. They're not deep.
Mm-hmm.
They got to hope they don't have any injuries because they don't have, a lot of depth on that team. But they got their starters are very good. David Beamer, the junior quarterback, threw for 3 touchdowns. And Rory Hellstrom, he scored another touchdown. They got a lot of weapons on that team, but there's not much behind them.
Right.
So they got to stay healthy. They host Steinert this week, and then they've got I think another game coming up with who else? I think they still got to play Willingboro.
Yes.
And I think they got Delrain on their schedule.
Is it just me, or does this team remind you a lot of what the Lawrence Cardinals did last year? It feels like a very kind of similar team.
Lawrence had more players.
Right.
Princeton doesn't have as many, at least as many players that are named players right now. Every week it seems that there's another kid stepping up doing an excellent job. But this is a Princeton team, and remember, as I've said several times, when you look back at the history of Mercer County football, at least on the public school level, other than Trenton High, Princeton is the second oldest.
Yeah.
And they've had some great teams come out of there over the years. And, of course, last year they went 0-10. And that was Charlie Gallagher's first year. And they're turning it around.
Yeah, they certainly are. And props to everyone over there, and Charlie Gallagher especially. I mean, that's what that man is doing is how you turn a program around.
They're in contention in the PowerPoints race. The PowerPoints
absolutely.
are coming out. And that's interesting because you've got, in that PowerPoints competition, you've got Allentown, which is not Central Jersey this year, South Jersey Group 3. They're atop the PowerPoint list over there, and Nottingham's in contention, and Hopewell Valley, Hopewell Valley, I think, is number 2 in Group 3. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't know if you're aware of it, because of certain situations at Sayreville, which has won 3 of the last 4 Central Jersey titles in their classification. They've canceled their season.
Wow.
They postponed the game the other night with South Brunswick. The original story was that one of the assistant coaches had been was implicated with some steroids and needles, and now it comes out that there's a hazing situation going on. So last night, apparently, the superintendent of schools just canceled the season.
Wow.
And Sayreville is a power in Middlesex County, and has played some of the Mercer County teams in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see, the teams that they're scheduled to play now. If there's not going to be a game, they'll pick up a win, which would really jumble this PowerPoint situation around.
Yeah, certainly that's something we'll be keeping an eye on through the entire season. We'll update you next week on the PowerPoints here on the Mercer County Football Show. Some other results saw Nottingham, the lone Mercer County team that played on Saturday, 26-6 over Pemberton. Impressive win for the North Stars to get them back on track and to prepare them for this week.
And John Adams, I saw he wasn't too happy the way his North Stars played, but Ben Fair had another big game, scored 3 touchdowns to take over the lead in Mercer County. Among running backs with most yardage. Ben Fair is up there. I think he's over 500 yards. I gotta check my numbers. Ben Fair, 519 yards on 72 carries, 7 touchdowns. He's got the touchdown lead along with Lorenzo Bryant, who has 7 touchdowns and 481 yards. So, but Lorenzo did not score the other day in Hopewell Valley's win at Notre Dame, his former school.
And impressive if you look at the top passer in Mercer County this year. It's David Beamer.
David Beamer right now, he's 28 for 56 for 593 yards, and he's thrown 8 touchdowns. Got a 50% completion percentage. And as far as yardage-wise, it's Kevin Murphy from West Windsor, Plainsboro North. He's thrown for 631 yards. Some interesting numbers there. Conlon, the quarterback from Heightstown's 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. And on the receiving end of it, Rory Hellstrom, as we mentioned, he's got 233 yards on 11 receptions. And Charlie Hagan from Notre Dame has got 11 receptions also. And Malik Sneed from Hamilton, he had a couple touchdowns in that loss the other night, as Kyle Bond, the quarterback, who didn't play at quarterback in the opening game of the season for the Hornets, was in at quarterback, and he threw a couple of touchdowns. Sneed now has 10 receptions for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns.
That was one of the finals in Mercer County. Cinnaminson 25, Hamilton 22, and also Allentown all over Steiner 51-14. When we come back here on the Mercer County Football Show, we'll take a look at this upcoming week of Mercer County football. It's going to be a great one. You're watching the Mercer County Football Show, presented by the St. Francis Medical Center, your heart hospital in the city of Trenton.
Don't forget, if you miss any of your local high school sports action, you can read all about it in tomorrow's edition of the Trentonian. For your complete local and national news 7 days a week, it's the Trentonian, or online at thetrentonian.com. The only newspaper serving Bucks, Burlington, and Mercer County 7 days a week, it's the Trentonian.
Jerry Blavitt here to tell you about St. Francis Medical Center, the heart hospital in the city of Trenton. St. Francis Medical Center is one of the region's top cardiac care centers, serving all of Mercer, Bucks, and Burlington counties. Their staff of highly trained physicians provide state-of-the-art heart care to patients with cardiovascular disease and pride themselves as being the only regional heart center to offer a full spectrum of individualized services. And Consumer Report ranks St. Francis Medical Center in the top 10 hospitals in New Jersey for safety, and the #1 hospital in Mercer County, St. Francis Medical Center, the Heart Hospital.
Welcome back to the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com, alongside the Trentonian George O'Gorman, Mike Samsel with you. Taking a look at this upcoming week in Mercer County, which should be a great one. We're going to start off on Saturday afternoon, where both of our games are. this particular week. George, you and I will be out at Nottingham High School on Saturday afternoon. We think it's 2 o'clock kickoff, 1:45 Trentonian pregame show, as it will be Nottingham hosting Rancocas Valley. George, that should be a great one. Again, another very good test for the North Stars. They hung with Allentown for the first half of their game. The Redbirds pulled away in the second half. But you know John Adams' North Star team is going to be very hungry to get their hands on another good team in RV.
Well, I think one of the things that really hurt Nottingham in their loss to Allentown were the interceptions that were thrown. That gave Allentown pretty much a short field. And you can't do that with Allentown because Jay Graber's got some excellent ball players there. And he's got a very deep backfield. He's got, you know, among his rushing leaders, Michael Curry, the quarterback. I mean, this kid, he not only can throw, but he can run. Curry's got 345 yards, and he scored 6 touchdowns. And also they got Winston, Jordan Winston. He's got 374 yards. And Jake Alessi's 325 yards. There's a lot of weapons in that team. They don't throw the ball very much, but when they do, they've got some receivers that can catch it, and it's a well-balanced offense. And they, you know, their defense is very good too.
Right.
They did it. They had an excellent defense. And Jake Morse, who I believe was honored by the 12th Man TD Club, he's I think has 4 interceptions already on the season.
If you look at this Nottingham team, are you surprised how well they've performed with how young they are? A sophomore quarterback, a junior running back, and Ben Fair. I mean, they're fairly young at the skill positions and fairly inexperienced because this was a really senior-leading team over the past 2 years.
Yeah, but that's the one thing about John Adams and his staff there, with Frank Gatto running the defense and John Barrai up in the press box, you know, with the offense. They've got some kids that can just move right in. Not a lot of them, because they took some heavy graduation losses, but they got kids that can move in. The quarterback is learning. He's very, very young. And, you know, I think it was his inexperience that probably hurt him somewhat against Allentown. But Ben Fair does an excellent job running the ball. And every week, I mean, he's up in the hundreds and, you know, over 100 yards rushing.
Yeah.
And he can get to the end zone, and he's got speed on the breakaway runs.
Yeah, he certainly does. The other good one that we'll have for you on the WBCB Sports Network, Notre Dame at Trenton. Good measuring stick for both teams, because if Trenton can come out and keep those winning ways that they had against West Windsor Plainsboro North and roll over this Notre Dame team, all of a sudden you're looking at Trenton possibly starting to hit their stride.
The only way that I compare it is Trenton opened its season against Rancocas Valley, and Rancocas Valley ended up beating them by like 3 touchdowns. Rancocas Valley pretty much dominated Notre Dame.
Right.
I would give Trenton a slighter edge. I think Trenton's got a better running game. With Holt and Neal and Willis, they can run the ball. They don't throw much, but they can throw. They got more weapons, and I think both defenses, you know, are very good at that level.
Right.
They're not. Both Trenton and Notre Dame are not at the level of, say, Allentown, Hopewell Valley.
Right.
But they're in that next group right below that, probably with teams like Princeton, Trenton, Notre Dame, Ewing. You know, we didn't mention anything about Ewing. After watching Ewing the week before, kind of struggled after getting 2 early touchdowns and hold on to beat Willingboro 14-7. They went down into Burlington County, and they had an outstanding performance for Drew Bessler's club, and they won. I think they shut out.
31-0.
31-0 over Delran, and that's an excellent. You know, that's an excellent ball club that Drew Bessler's put together there. Terrence Grissom has done an outstanding job for the Ewing Blue Devils. This team is getting better, and they go in this week to play. Are they playing Northern Burlington?
They're at Northern Burlington. Good test.
That's a big test for Ewing. Ewing's got the speed. I'd have to say Northern Burlington probably has the advantage playing at home, and you know Ewing's defense isn't bad.
Right.
It would be a quite a impressive win if Ewing can go into Northern Burlington and come away with a win on Friday night.
2 other games for you on Saturday afternoon. These ones will feature Lawrence taking on Burlington Township, and also Princeton at Steiner. Princeton, nice opportunity here to go to 6-0.
be 5-0.
5-0.
5-0.
My apologies.
And they're at home. You know, Dan Caruso and the Spartans are struggling somewhat. Kyle Muller, the quarterback, got hurt the other day. We'll have to see his status. But Princeton's got a lot of weapons. You know, as I said, not many. They're not deep, but the kids they got on the starting line and starting defense are good. And a lot of them go both ways, too.
Yeah. Games around Mercer County on Friday night have West Windsor Plainsboro North taking on Hightstown. West Windsor Plainsboro South will play host to the Hornets of Hamilton. Winless teams battle in that one. Robbinsville takes on Bordentown. Robbinsville is the host. And also, we talked about Ewing and Northern Burlington, but the great one, 2 undefeated teams, Titans clash, if you will, as Allentown takes on Lenape on Friday night.
That is a... Allentown's played well. They opened the season with their convincing win at Notre Dame. This is the biggest test yet for Jay Graber and the the Allentown Redbirds. You've got Lenape coming in. First time I can ever remember Lenape coming into Mercer County to play a league game, but it should be a big crowd over there at Allentown on Friday night. It would be great to see the Redbirds pull the win off. Now, there's a possibility. Interesting how the PowerPoints work. As we said, Allentown is leading in the South Jersey Group 3, yet Lenape is in that same group, and they're down about 5th.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that how the PowerPoints go, but I guess, Allentown with some convincing wins has probably picked up more PowerPoints, but this will be a huge win for them. I think if Allentown can pretty much lock up a playoff berth already, if they haven't done already, they can probably lock up a playoff berth with a win on Friday night against Lenape.
Should be some great ones. We mentioned George and I will be out at Nottingham on Saturday afternoon. Sean Lerman will have all the live play-by-play of Notre Dame and Trenton. Notre Dame Trenton will be on the AM 1490, and it will be Rancocas Valley taking on Nottingham on the FM 1077. Both of those games coming up for you on Saturday afternoon. George, we follow you on Twitter at George O'Gorman. Where can we find you on Friday night?
Friday night I'll be at Allentown and Lenape.
That should be a great one. So we'll be following you on Twitter for that. We'll be excited for it, and we'll see you next week on the Mercer County Football Show presented by the St. Francis Medical Center, your heart hospital in the city of Trenton. For George, I'm Mike. We'll see you next time.